grass factor isn't just about lawn care. The grass factor is about the science behind why we do what we do. But we are stewards of the environment. We are stewards of the planet. It is our responsibility. What's up, everyone? Matt Martin, The Grass Factor. Let me take you through what I experienced over the last 10 days on this one particular property where I was running an experiment. This lawn is new to me. I got the phone call because, as the customer described, there was a catastrophic chemical event last year, and by this he believes that potentially something wrong was sprayed on the yard and killed it or damaged it to the point where it was no longer going to recover. I get the call, I go out, I take a look at it. At this point, you know, they had split seeded it, they had aerated it, they'd put topsoil on it, everything they could possibly do to try and get this to come back, and it just wasn't coming back. I'd say they got about 65-75% coverage. Then with the final seeding, it got up to 85, maybe 90% coverage. So still some pretty decent areas without coverage at this point. As it rolled into this year, 2 applications of pre-emergent were sprayed on that young, tender fescue, those seedlings, and it stunted them incredibly bad to the point where they turned yellow. The plants were wilting, they were dying. I'll see if I can't find that video and insert it here. As you can see, the state of that turf grass is poor. It is not good. That turf grass is not going to recover. Purely as an experiment, I said if we can alleviate a bit of the compaction around the root system, give it some breathing room, get some oxygen flow, get some water penetration for these rains we had coming up, maybe, just maybe, it will allow just enough room for those fescue plants to begin to recover. Also, if we can drive those roots, if we can run a high rate of something that will push root development. So, me being me, I decided to get experimental, and I mixed up. This was a 6 gallon to the acre rate of RGS. That would be the equivalent of 18 ounces per thousand. And I did 15 ounces per 1,000 rate of Air 8. This is all one application. I also put down the 10-0-10 fertilizer I had at about a 1/4 pound of total N. Of course, that's going to have some potassium sulfate, some iron, and some magnesium in it. And I was very pleased with the results. I'll show those to you now. As you can see, we got very substantial recovery here. The point of this isn't so much that, you know, hey, wow, look at what Greene County Fertilizer Products are doing. Yes, that is part of it. But I think it all kind of ties back to how important it is to understand the physiological processes in play behind the herbicides we're using. In this particular instance, we're using, you know, prodiamine to inhibit cell division on a molecular level to prevent root development from taking place. And so when looking for something to combat that, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either apply like an activated charcoal or an activated carbon to try and absorb all of that out of the soil, or I was treating symptomatically, trying to stimulate the plant to push through the injury. In this instance, I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but in this instance, it seems to be, at this point, very successful. To give you an idea, the plants were kind of pegged at about 1/4 of an inch tall, and very, very immature. And as you can see now, it's beginning to look more and more like a real plant. Some of them reaching 4 inches in height and actually able to be cut for the first time. As turfgrass managers, even though it is on the residential level, this is a perfect example of why it's important to arm yourself with knowledge. I may have gotten lucky here. I get lucky often, but I made my best guess. I put my best foot forward on developing a solution for this particular problem by understanding the function of the herbicides that were used. So where I'm going with this is I recommend everyone do just that. Don't just apply a product because it controls a weed. Don't just put down a fertilizer because it is promised to turn things green. Take a moment to study the label, study the active ingredients, watch videos where I explain the active ingredients, and gather a real sense of what is actually happening, because it may lead you to a situation like this where your best educated guess may turn out lucky and you'll end up with a very satisfied client in the end run, which in my instance was the case. And again, I'm very fortunate. And it's not Pete Denny nice, but it's getting there. Finally have a fescue yard up front. Little fescue in front, little Bermuda grass in back. I like where it's going.